There's a task on your list. You know it's important. You know you should be doing it right now. But you're not. Instead, you're here. And with every passing second, a familiar, heavy feeling settles in your gut. Guilt. It's the voice that whispers you're lazy, that you lack discipline, that you're failing. You desperately want to be productive. You've tried the planners, the apps, the motivational speeches. You've looked in the mirror and told yourself, just do it. But the more you push, the more you command, the stronger the resistance gets. It feels like you're fighting a civil war against yourself, and it's exhausting. The brutal irony is that the energy you spend feeling guilty about not doing the work is often more draining than the work itself. So here's a thought that might feel radical. What if you aren't the problem? What if the advice you've been given is fundamentally flawed? For decades, we've been sold a single story about success, that discipline is a muscle, and procrastination is a moral failure that must be crushed with brute force. This video is an intervention for anyone who is tired of that war. We're going to explore the groundbreaking neuroscience that reveals why the just do it philosophy is destined to fail for most of us. We will dismantle the myth of brute force discipline and replace it with something that actually works, a compassionate, strategic approach that partners with your brain's natural wiring instead of declaring war on it. Because the truth is, your brain isn't lazy. It's trying to protect you. And understanding that one critical fact is the first step to shutting down the guilt machine for good. What you're about to learn isn't another hack. It's a new operating manual for your mind. And it all starts by understanding the silent battle that's happening inside your head right now. To understand why you procrastinate, you have to stop thinking of your brain as a single unified thing. Instead, picture it as a company with two very different leaders who are constantly in a power struggle. In one corner, you have the CEO. This is your prefrontal cortex, the logical, sophisticated, uniquely human part of your brain right behind your forehead. Your CEO is brilliant. It writes the business plans, sets the long-term goals, and understands the future benefits of finishing that difficult project, making that important call, or studying for that exam. It's the part of you that buys vegetables and sets an alarm for 6 a.m. The CEO is your best self, the architect of your dreams. But in the other corner, you have the head of security. This is your amygdala, a much older, more primitive part of the brain. Let's call it the survivalist. The survivalist is not sophisticated. It doesn't care about your 5-year plan or your quarterly goals. Its job description has only one item on it: keep you safe and comfortable right now. It operates on a simple, ancient code: seek pleasure, avoid pain, and it is incredibly powerful. Here's the conflict that plays out a dozen times a day. Your CEO says, "Okay, time to work on that presentation for the big client." It's a logical plan that will lead to a future reward. But the survivalist, your internal security guard, scans that task and sees danger everywhere. It doesn't see a career opportunity. It sees a threat of failure. It doesn't see constructive effort. It sees discomfort and boredom. It flags the task as a risk to your immediate well-being. And when the survivalist detects a threat, it doesn't write a polite memo to the CEO. It pulls the emergency alarm. It floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol, making you feel anxious, restless, and overwhelmed. Your brain is now in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. The desire to work on the presentation is the threat. And what's the easiest way to flee from a threat on your computer? Open a new tab, check your email, scroll through social media. Each time you do that, you get a tiny, satisfying hit of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Your survivalist sighs in relief. Threat neutralized, it reports. We have successfully avoided the scary, difficult thing. We are safe. So you don't end up watching YouTube videos because you're undisciplined. You end up there because your ancient brain has just successfully executed a brilliant escape plan to save you from perceived danger. This is why the just do it mentality is a trap. When you try to force yourself to do something your survivalist has flagged as a threat, you are essentially yelling at your own head of security. This only increases the sense of stress and internal conflict. You're validating the survivalist's fear. It digs in its heels, convinced the threat is even more real, and doubles down on its efforts to make you escape. You're trying to win a battle of logic against a system that only understands emotion and instinct. And in a short-term battle, the hyper-vigilant survivalist almost always wins against the thoughtful but easily depleted CEO. So if a direct, forceful assault doesn't work, what about our most celebrated mental weapon, willpower? We're told to just have more of it. But what if relying on willpower is like trying to hold back a flood with a paper cup? That's exactly what we'll uncover next. If the just do it command is a failed battle tactic, then willpower is the mythical superweapon we're all told to bring to the fight. We celebrate it. We're told to cultivate it, to strengthen it, and that a lack of it is the root of all our problems. We treat willpower like an infinite, magical source of strength that strong people have and weak people don't. This is one of the most damaging myths in all of personal development. The science is clear. Willpower, or more accurately, self-control, is a finite resource. Think of it less like a character trait and more like the battery on your phone. You start the day with a full charge, but every single act of self-control you perform throughout the day drains that battery little by little. Resisting the urge to hit snooze? That costs some battery. Choosing a healthy breakfast over a sugary one? More battery drain. Forcing yourself to be patient in traffic? Biting your tongue in a frustrating meeting? Deciding what to prioritize from a list of 50 emails? Each one is a small withdrawal from your mental energy account. This phenomenon is called ego depletion, or decision fatigue. And it's the hidden reason your best intentions often crumble by 3 p.m. You wake up with a fully charged battery, ready to conquer that big, important, non-urgent task, what Stephen R. Covey would call a quadrant 2 activity. This is the project that will actually move your life forward, but your day gets in the way. It throws a dozen urgent, unimportant quadrant 3 tasks at you. By the time you've fought off all those smaller dragons, your willpower battery is blinking red. Your CEO, the prefrontal cortex, is now running on fumes. And your survivalist, the amygdala, is as fresh as ever. It loves defaulting to easy, automatic behaviors. So, when your exhausted CEO finally tries to rally the troops to face that big, intimidating Quadrant 2 project, the survivalist doesn't even see it as a fair fight. It easily hijacks your brain's controls and steers you toward the comfort of distraction. You're not failing due to a lack of character. You're failing because you've entered a heavyweight fight after running a marathon. This is the core flaw of brute force discipline. It relies entirely on a resource that is designed to run out. True effectiveness, as Covey taught, isn't about having superhuman willpower to deal with crises. It's about intelligently designing your environment and your habits to preserve your willpower for what truly matters. It's about building systems so that you don't need to fight the same battles every single day. Relying on brute force is a guarantee that you will live in a constant state of reaction, forever drained by the urgent and never having the energy for the important. And the worst part of this myth is the emotional toll. When you believe willpower is a measure of your worth, you feel deep shame every time your battery runs out. You blame yourself, feeding the cycle of guilt and avoidance. So, if direct force is a mistake and willpower is a trap, we must find a new way. The solution isn't about becoming a better soldier in the war against yourself. It's about becoming a diplomat. It's about signing a peace treaty based on understanding and strategy. This is the Neuro-Compassionate method, and it's where we finally stop fighting our brains and start leading them. Let's break down how it works. For years, you've been acting like a harsh manager to your own brain, dictating orders, demanding compliance, and punishing failure. The Neuro-Compassionate method asks you to fire the manager and become a leader instead. A leader who listens, strategizes, and inspires. This isn't about being soft, it's about being incredibly smart. It's a 3-step process designed to calm the fearful survivalist and empower the thoughtful CEO. Phase 1. Acknowledge, validate the signal. The next time you feel the heavy pull of procrastination, your first instinct is to fight it, to grit your teeth and say, "I shouldn't feel this way." I want you to do the exact opposite. I want you to pause, take a breath, and listen. That feeling of resistance is not your enemy. It is a messenger. Your brain is sending you a signal, a piece of data, and fighting it is like smashing the check engine light on your car's dashboard instead of looking under the hood. So, get curious. Become a scientist of your own mind. Ask a simple, non-judgmental question. Why does this feel difficult right now? This single question is an act of profound self-compassion. You are shifting from self-blame to self-inquiry. As you listen for the answer, you'll likely find the resistance isn't just laziness. It's a specific emotion. Is it overwhelm? The task feels like a mountain with no clear first step. Your brain doesn't know where to start, so it chooses not to start at all. Fear? Are you afraid of failing, of being judged, or even of succeeding and having to face new, higher expectations? Perfectionism? Is the pressure to do it perfectly so immense that starting feels impossible? You'd rather submit a perfect imaginary project later than an imperfect real one now. Boredom or resentment? Does the task feel meaningless, pointless, or like something you're being forced to do? Your brain is desperately searching for a connection, for a why. When you simply name the feeling, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm afraid of what my boss will think, something amazing happens neurologically. The act of labeling an emotion requires your prefrontal cortex, your CEO. This brings the logical brain online and soothes the panicked amygdala. You are literally using your advanced brain to calm your primitive one. This is the moment of acceptance, of welcoming the data without judgment. You haven't done any work yet, but you've already won the most important battle. You've stopped the internal war. Phase 2, lower the stakes, the gateway. Now that you've listened to the signal, you must respect it. If your survivalist brain is screaming, danger, you can't just tell it to be quiet. You have to prove to it that the task isn't actually dangerous. And you do this by making the first step so ridiculously, laughably small that it doesn't trigger the threat alarm. This is the science behind the popular 2-minute rule, but with a compassionate twist. Your goal is not to trick yourself into working for hours. Your only goal is to complete a 2-minute gateway action. You want to write a 10-page report, but your brain is terrified of that mountain. So, you must redefine the task. Your new task is not write the report. Your new task is open the document and write a single sentence. That's it. That's the whole task. Want to go to the gym? Your task is not do a 1-hour workout. It's put on your workout shoes. Want to clean the kitchen? Your task is put one dish in the dishwasher. This feels like a gimmick, but it's a profound neurological hack. A massive task like write a report lights up the pain centers in the brain and sends your survivalist into a panic. A tiny task like open the document is so non-threatening that the alarm never goes off. You fly under the radar. But in doing so, you overcome the single greatest point of friction, inertia. You have started. And an object in motion, as Newton knew, tends to stay in motion. You're using your brain's own physics against its fears. Phase 3, reward the effort, the dopamine loop. This final step is the one most people skip, and it's the one that rewires your brain for the long term. Your brain is currently stuck in a procrastination loop. 1. Feel stress about a task. 2. Procrastinate. 3. Get a dopamine hit from the distraction. Loop complete. Brain learns. Procrastination. Relief. We need to build a new, more powerful loop. After you complete your tiny 2-minute gateway task, you must celebrate. I don't mean throwing a party. I mean taking 10 solid seconds to consciously acknowledge your victory. Close your eyes and tell yourself, I did it. I showed up. Check a box on a piece of paper. Do a silent fist pump. Smile. The action doesn't matter. The acknowledgement does. This conscious act of self-recognition releases a small, crucial hit of dopamine. In that moment, you are teaching your brain a new equation. The loop becomes 1. Feel stress about a task. 2. Do a tiny, non-threatening part of it. 3. Get a dopamine hit from the accomplishment. Loop complete. By doing this repeatedly, you are actively hijacking the reward system that was working against you. You are rewiring your neural pathways to associate starting your work with a feeling of pleasure, not a feeling of pain. You're training your survivalist to see the task not as a predator to be fled, but as a source of a tasty treat. This 3-part method, acknowledge the signal, lower the stakes, reward the effort, is the engine of neuro-compassionate discipline. It's a practice. But how do you apply it today? How do you create a specific plan for the very thing you're putting off? That's what we'll build next, your personal launch sequence. Theory is valuable, but transformation happens in practice. So right now, let's move from learning to doing. This isn't just a summary. This is your personal launch pad. I want you to bring to mind that one task, the one that's been hanging over your head while you've been watching this. Got it? Good. Now, instead of a one-size-fits-all solution, I want you to choose your own micro-challenge based on the signal your brain has been sending you. Pick the one that resonates most with your feeling of resistance. 1. If your signal is overwhelm. If the task feels like a dense, foggy mountain, your challenge is clarity. Your mission for the next 2 minutes is to ignore the mountain and identify only the first blade of grass. What is the absolute smallest, most physical first action you can take? Not write my resume, but open a new document and type my name. Not clean the house, but carry one coffee mug to the sink. Define that tiny step. That's your gateway. 2. If your signal is fear or perfectionism. If you're paralyzed by the thought of not doing it perfectly, your challenge is liberation. Your mission for the next 2 minutes is to do a planned imperfect version. Write one terrible, clumsy paragraph knowing you will delete it. Make a quick, ugly sketch. Send a low-stakes email with one intentional minor typo. Your goal is to intentionally lower the bar so low that you can't help but step over it, proving to your brain that imperfection is not a fatal threat. 3. If your signal is boredom or lack of meaning, if the task feels pointless, your challenge is connection. Your mission for the next 2 minutes is not to do the task, but to find the why. Grab a piece of paper and write for 2 minutes on this prompt. How will completing this task, even in a small way, help someone else or move me 1% closer to a life I value? Find one sliver of purpose. Connect the action to a value. Choose your path. Pause this video. Take just 2 minutes to complete your micro-challenge. And when you're done, and this is non-negotiable, take 10 seconds to perform Phase 3. Acknowledge the win. Feel the quiet victory of having taken one small, compassionate step forward. Welcome back. What you just did is more powerful than hours of struggling with brute force. You didn't fight your brain. You collaborated with it. You listened. You strategized. And you led with compassion. This is the entire shift. The goal was never to become a perfect, productive machine who never procrastinates. It's to become a person who understands their own mind, who can transform a moment of resistance from a source of shame into an opportunity for self-awareness. You don't need more willpower. You need more self-compassion. You don't need to try harder. You need a smarter, kinder strategy. You have been given the wrong manual your entire life, one that told you to be at war with yourself. Today, you can put that manual down. The pressure is off. You have permission to be human, to work in a way that honors your own biology. Let's make this a space for that practice. In the comments below, I invite you to share something. Don't tell me what you're going to accomplish. Tell me what part of the old brute force myth you are officially giving yourself permission to let go of today. If this new approach brought you a sense of relief, subscribe for more ways to achieve your goals with your mind, not against it. Thank you for your time. Now go be kind to your brain.